CFRN.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Well, let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.CFRN.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.CFRN.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday, 6th day of November, 2020. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. Garrett's going to join us here in about 30 minutes or so-ish. If you can't see the screen I have up, go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds. That will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. On the days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, no worries. Point any internet-connected browser to CFRN.net/live, and there you'll find a live real-time simulcast of the show. You just won't have access to the chat box. We also stream most days today, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter during the broadcast. Let's open with a word of prayer. Dear God, we desperately need your wisdom. You've given us a great country founded on principles of truths from your word. We need men and women who will honor you, trust you, and lead us once again back to you. We pray for servant leaders who love the things that you love and who care more about others than themselves. In Jesus' name, amen. Happy Friday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. cash markets, the indices. Currently the Dow down 42 points, NASDAQ down 12, S&P 500 down less than a point, Russell 2000 down 6. In the commodity basket, crude oil down $1.51, trading 37.28 last. That's a drop of almost 4%. Gold up $5.80, trading 19.5260 last. Silver up 39 cents. Remember, a $1 move, which we had yesterday in silver, is worth $5,000 per futures contract. We had a 39-cent move today, trading 25.99 last. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a gain of 219 points, 1%. Shanghai was down 8. Hang Seng gained 17. And in the European markets, FTSE posted a gain of 4 points. DAX lost 88. The CAC dropped 23. So with the exception of crude, no real movers and shakers. Crude and silver. Both of those look pretty good. Now we could go to Michael if he's ready, but I don't know if he's ready yet.
I'm here.
Are you?
I'm here. Amen. Amen.
Amen. All right, my friend. Take her away as you're ready.
Okay. I will grab it.
Garrett, again, will be joining us probably about a half hour from now. But we'll work through the recap and all that stuff, so we got plenty of time. All right, Mike. I've got your charts. How was it this morning?
It was okay. It was okay. You know, the last half hour we did YVR trades, and we ended up doing pretty well with the YVR trades. We had 1 stop out, 1 break even, and 3 wins, I think. And you know, the rest of the morning session, it was okay. It was okay trading. It wasn't really good, but it was good enough. And you know, well, we got our goal for the day in 2 trades and 11 minutes. So it was okay.
All right, well, let me hit mute and on my end, and you can get after it.
Okay, here we go. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is the 6th day of November, 2020. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, we made 8 ticks in crude. Is that right? Yeah, 8 ticks in crude, 13 ticks in gold, and 2 ticks on the ES. Put us at plus 235 on the morning session. Now, that's not counting any of the YBR stuff. Okay, today I took 11 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 9 trades this morning. On the month now, we're at $2,317. That's over 5 trading days, averaging $463 per contract per trading day. And I am now on my 183rd consecutive day of getting my goal. Now, down here at the bottom, on the year now, we're at $90,006. That's over 208 trading days, averaging $432 per contract per trading day. So my goal of getting to 100,000 per contract, unless something really goes wrong in December, I think we're going to get there. Now, if you have not become part of the CFRN family, go to eminifuturestrading.com, eminifuturestrading.com, and there you can sign up, become part of the CFRN family. We've made it easy and affordable, and well, you know, if you're sitting on the bench right now, I don't know why. It's by choice. Okay, so here on gold, I'm scrolling back trying to find where all my drawing objects were. Where'd they go? I don't see any of my arrows. Well, anyway, on gold today we had 4 trades. The first one was +4. The next one was a break even. The next one was +2. And the next one was +7. I don't know what happened to my drawing objects. They just don't seem to be there. But I know I did draw on it. The euro we didn't do anything with today. Again, it's been, well, lackluster. I'll call it that on the euro. There was a shorting opportunity right here and right here and right there. And a long opportunity right there. And that was pretty much it on the euro. There wasn't a lot of movement on the euro today. I don't know what happened to all my arrows on gold, because I know I drew them in. But anyway, we ended up with +13 on gold. We didn't do anything with the euro. And we actually might have check and see. Where's my gold up? Yeah. Okay. Now to the ES. Let me back. Not the ES, crude oil. Let me back this out. Now we did some YBR trades on crude and on the ES and on the euro during the break. Well, not during the break, but right before the break, in the half hour before the break. And I'll show you those in just a minute. But it looks like none of my drawing objects are here anymore. Because on crude, well, we had 1 trade and we made 8 ticks on it. I think it was right in here. And we made 8 ticks on it. And then there was nothing during the break. It's like somebody came in and erased all of my drawing objects. See, I don't have anything on the ES right now either. And I know I drew them. But, well, anyway, I'll just tell you what happened with the ES. On the ES, our first trade of the day was right here, I think. And we picked up 8 ticks on that. It could have been there, or it could have been over here. But whatever, the first trade of the day, we picked up 8 ticks. The next trade, we picked up 2. Then it got really choppy and started going sideways. And then we stopped out on the ES. I'm not sure where we stopped out. I think it was probably right in here. We stopped out on the ES. And so that put us down to +2 on the ES on the morning session. Then it got really choppy, and then it started going sideways. And so we weren't doing a lot of trading in here. We were just waiting for it to come together. And then we got to 11 o'clock. And then I started doing YBR trades. I think that's probably what happened. When I switched from basic to the YBR template, it erased all my drawing objects. And so I can't show you exactly where I traded, but I can tell you where the trades were. And, you know, during the break, well, we're getting into that part now. During the break, it was really choppy through here. And then we had some long opportunities in here. One there, and one there, and one there. And shorting opportunity right here. A long opportunity right here. And another one right. Well, it would have a broken dynamic resistance. But it would have been right in there. On the short side, another one right there. And that's about it. during the break. Okay. No, during that last half an hour, I had switched to the YBR template, and that's where all my drawing objects got erased when I switched back to the basic. But anyway, I can tell you what I did and what I didn't do. And there were a bunch of trades that I didn't take. But on gold, I took 4 trades. My first one was +4. My second one was +2. My third one was +7. Or somewhere in there was a break-even trade. On the ES, I had 1 break-even trade, and then I had a +8, a +2, and a -8. And on crude, I had just 1 +8. So on the morning session, here, bring the spreadsheet back up. We'll go through this again. It's a good thing I write this stuff down. Today is the 6th day of November 2020. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we made 8 ticks in crude, 13 ticks in gold, and 2 ticks on the ES. Put us at +235 on the morning session. Today it took 11 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 9 trades. So on the month now, we're up $2,317. That's over 5 trading days, averaging $463 per contract per trading day. I am now on my 183rd consecutive day of getting my goal. And on the year now, we're at $90,006. That's over 208 trading days, averaging $432 per contract per trading day. If you have not become part of the CFRN family yet, and you want to become part of the CFRN family, go to EminiFuturesTrading.com, EminiFuturesTrading.com, and there you can sign up and become part of the CFRN family. It's easy and affordable. We've done our best to make it that way for you. Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the morning session, guys. You know, the trading was there, but there was a lot of chop today. And you know, as we go through the election results and the lawsuits and all that kind of stuff, you know, I suspect that we're going to be, where the heck is that page? I don't have it up anymore. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of indecision in the markets. So trade the charts, okay? Trade what's in front of you. When you get into a trade, then I can help guide you through the trade. But I'm doing my best to keep you out of trades right now that look like they could just be the beginning of a chop. And all that stuff, I mean, it's available to me. It's also available to you. But, you know, like my Ninja Trader DOM doesn't show anything. It just shows the top bid ask. You know, but my DT Pro charts, I can see a lot more information. Anyway, EminiFuturesTrading.com. Go there, become part of the CFRN family. Okay. All right, and that's it for the morning session. With that, I'm going to pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready to take it back.
I am ready to take it back, but I'm having that name issue again.
Oh.
I'll fix it.
There you go.
There we go.
You fixed it.
Models. Okey-doke.
Okay. You got it.
Recap of the recap.
Today it took 11 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract.
Good job.
Thank you. Okay.
This week, far, guys. Our Logic 247 E-Mini Alert Service. This is where we are as of 12 noon. 68 total alerts issued. 12 of them never triggered. Still waiting on the results of 7. We got 49 actionable alerts, of which 5 were stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade. So that's 10% of actionable alerts, which is a very unusual number because typically we average about 20% over the last 118 weeks. Now, the channel opens for business Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when the global markets open. Most people are waiting for Monday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. But we're hitting it 6 p.m. Eastern Sunday night. And we had quite a busy Sunday night this past Sunday night. So we'll go take a look at those. 68 total alerts. 12 never triggered. 7 still waiting on a disposition. 49 actionable. 5 were stopped out. Now, let's go to the channel itself. In case you've never seen it, you'll know what it looks like and what to expect. Now, I'll start at the bottom instead of at the top. These are ones that just came out right before the show started, so those are the ones we're still waiting on. In queue, this is alert number 5,626. In queue. Sell 11,960. Initial target 11,950. Next target 900. Next target 11,800. The swing low was 11,947 and a quarter. It's worked out to be $255 per contract traded. The one above it, goal, B is buy, or be long, 1950 with an initial target of 1951, and then weekly trading zone 54.55. Which it finally got to, but on this swing, the swing high was 1951.30. So there was $130 per contract available in that alert. Here's a short on the Dow, alert number 5,624. Sell 28,085. Here's your initial target. Here's your second target. Final trade to target. This trade was worth $210 per contract traded. That's what the market made available. Here's the S&P. Sell 34.80. Initial target 34.78. Next target 34.68. Potential support, which is like another target. And then weekly trading zone. Now this was the short. The swing low was 34.76.75, so worked out to be 162.50 per contract traded. Here's the S&P. There's a $100 trade per contract. Here's the Russell 240. Gold 230. In queue, that one we're waiting on. 2,200 on this one. This was in queue. Buy at 11,875. Initial target 885. Weekly trading zone 12,000. On that particular swing, we made it to 11,987. $2,240 per contract traded. And the hedge on the YM, buying at 27,907. Initial target, second target, third target, $380. So the format is the same. They come out individually as opportunity presents itself. Some Sunday nights we open up. There's no obvious opportunity, so nothing comes out for a little bit. But most Sunday nights, we usually have a flurry of at least 3 or 4 trades initially. And then we continue to trade on through the night, through the Asian session, through the London session, right on up until the Wall Street Open. And at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, when Wall Street opens, that's when Michael opens the room, and that's where he teaches you the methodology and the strategy that we use for me to go out and find these. You see, the goal is for you to learn how to find these yourself. The goal is to teach you to not be dependent on anyone else for your success in the markets, just you and the chart. That's the end goal. But the learning process, everything you learn each morning in the room from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m., everything you learn, if you move into the larger time frames, these are all based off a 30-minute chart. You're going to use the same strategy, same indicators. The only difference is the time frame and the amount of risk. In the room, we risk 8 ticks on every trade. For simplicity's sake, we're just trying to teach you the setup. If you start trading larger time frames, like a 30-minute, and there's no magic time frame, and what we teach you is fluid across all markets and all time frames. We trade gold the same way we trade crude, or the S&P, or the Russell. And whether we're on a 4-tick range chart, or a 30-minute chart, or a 5-minute chart, everything remains the same. There's 475 per contract available, 450 per contract available. And trying to get back up to Sunday night here. And we had a total of, it was 58 alerts issued this week. Now you're as likely to get an alert as 2 a.m. as 2 p.m. because these are global markets. We're working around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Here's a Dow trade. There's a buy, $1,800 available. So no trigger. That's a hedge on gold. There's the Dow. Sell 26,240. Initial target 220. Potential support 26,135. The swing low was 26,172. That made $340 per contract available. And once you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, that $300 becomes $3,000. There's a process. It's called the 2420 blueprint. You start out in SIM as you're learning our strategy. We want you to put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less before you start trading real money. This is designed to keep you from blowing up your account. Once you've put together your 10 consecutive days in a row, then you go live with just one contract. Just one. Now you have a new goal. Increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you do that, you use your profits to add a second contract. You'll trade 2 contracts now for a while, and the blueprint will let you know when it's time to add number 3. You only add if you have the profit available in your account to add. If you don't, if the blueprint's telling you it's time to add number 3, number 4, number 10, you don't have the profit available in your account, you should not add that next contract. You should not increase your size. You should book a one-on-one mentoring session with myself or Michael or both of us. We'll go over your trades with you and help you figure out and understand, was it something you did? Was it, just market conditions were not conducive for trading at that time and you didn't recognize that? whatever the case, will help you figure it out. And then you spend a day or two trading in sim just to get your confidence back. And then you step right back out live where you left off. You don't have to start at 1 again. Just pick up where you left off. There's a silver trade with $550 available per contract. Russell, 200. 680 on this gold. Stop out. We have 5 stop outs all week. 2 of them came Sunday night. This is the beginning of the week, last Sunday night. 118. Good evening, welcome to Globex. We had a gap fill on the ES, which did eventually fill, but stopped out first. And gap fill on the Dow, which stopped out first. So you have to have faith in your definable edge, which is why we want you to put together 10 consecutive days in a row in sim. One of the reasons, so that you understand that this can happen. And we added them up yesterday. So trading 1 contract, you'd be down $600. Well, the very next trade brought back 680. And the next one brought back 200. And then 550. And then 200. And then 340. And 70. And 1800. And 175. And 895. So it hurts when you get stopped out. Doesn't feel, you feel bad, you feel wrong. You feel like you, and maybe you did do something wrong, but we don't like to think in terms of right and wrong. Once you understand the strategy, you simply do what you know you're supposed to do. Mark Douglas, author of Trading in the Zone, said that perfection in trading is simply knowing what to do, when to do it, and then just doing it. The outcome, because your definable edge, see, this is a business based on probabilities. So the definable edge puts the probabilities in your favor. Unfortunately, most folks are out trying to trade without a true definable edge. They're just kind of, you know, taking shot. Here, let me take a shot at this. It looks like we're going up, so I'm gonna go long. And you got to have more than that. Plan the trade, trade the plan, all that stuff. Last week we had a total of 45 alerts. 4 never triggered. We had 41 actionable alerts. 5 stopped out last week. That's weird. 2 weeks in a row. It's 12% last week because we only had a total of 45 alerts. Now, this is the Telegram messaging app that we use. You put it on your phone, put it on your tablet, put it on your PC. Every time I send out one of these alerts, your device will make a little sound like a telegram. Dee-dee-dee. It's not a good sound, but it makes a little sound. You look at it, go to your chart, put your thinking cap on, make sure you see the trade, check the market structure, determine where you're going to trigger, establish your stop loss. I teach all of our traders a 3-step method for placing their stop based on market structure. It's really simple. Instead of using a formula or a ratio or a random number, we actually use the structure of the market to determine whether or not we should take that trade. And you should never feel obligated to take a trade just because it's an alert. Look at it, understand it. That's part of the learning process. Oh, okay, I see what's happening. Got it. That's the way to do it. Let's look at a chart. Let's look at a daily chart of the S&P 500 E-mini Futures. Yep. We talked about this trend line yesterday. That's the all-time historic high put in on September 3rd. It's 1 tick higher than the day before. And remember, I tell you to always be suspicious of a high that's, you know, just a couple ticks or even sometimes even a couple points. That doesn't hold. So you get 1 tick higher and then the bottom absolutely falls out. It goes all the way back to the BBC. This green line, BBC, just means bull bear cross. When price crosses above it, we're bullish. And when price crosses below it, we're bearish. It's part of the strategy. The other indicator is called the CFMA1. I refer to it as blue and climbing or red and falling. Blue and climbing means we're looking for the market to move higher. Red and falling means we're looking for the market to move lower. Trading's not easy, but it can be simple. It's simple. Now, yesterday, in the room, I told everyone that we were hitting this trend line, and if we could get above it, we make a run at the all-time historic high. But if we failed, then we may take a trip back to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. And in our case, the mean happens to be green. But you see, as price pulls away, it pulls back. Pulls away, it pulls back. Pullback holds more often than it doesn't. So this is a tough call here. Now, if we were still at the low of the day, we could say with some degree of certainty that we were heading back to the BBC. But we put in a low today at 34.56.75. We didn't quite, let's see, yesterday's high was 35.22.50. Today's high was only 35.19, so we've got a lower high today. So even if we were to close right here, right now, it would be somewhat bearish going into Sunday night. And when they finally get all this election mess straightened out, we don't know what we'll have, quite honestly. Looks like it's swinging in Biden's favor, but there's been so much appears to be obvious, rampant fraud. And one of our members, John, just posted in one of our Telegram channels. Who was that? This guy is an attorney. I hope he is right. My wife told me military votes in Georgia have not been counted yet. Now, if you are part of the family, CFRN, you have access to the discussion groups, the private and the public. We have a separate channel called Breeze. That's where we go to just, you got it, shoot the breeze. We've got a channel for the weekly trading zones, the Concierge Trade Alerts, the Logic 247 alerts. We take up a lot of space in Telegram. Telegram is free. It's fast, it's secure, it has no advertising, and it's very simple to use. To install it on any device, you just do this. Telegram.org. There's your Android phone, your iPhone, or your iPad, your PC, or your Mac. They got it all covered. And when you go into our trial discussion group, you can scroll back months and months and months. There's got to be thousands of posts in there. All questions about the market, trade setups, charts. I mean, you could spend days learning just from scrolling up in the discussion group. There's just a lot of great information there. And the site Michael was talking about, EminiFuturesTrading.com. This is where you go. This is where you get started. With the alerts, you send the trade to your phone, your desktop, your tablet, all three, however you want it. You set that part of it up. When your device makes the sound, open your platform, check the chart first, and then if you so choose, place the order, exit at the target. I suggest that you monitor the trade. Okay. Sometimes time doesn't permit, and if that's the case for you, then you'll figure out a rhythm that works best for you. Now, traders fail for a number of reasons. In fact, this article written many years ago, 9 out of 10 new traders fail. That hasn't changed. That's still true. And the reason is very simple. It's because they don't have someone to teach them how to do it. Imagine you trying to fly a plane or rebuild a carburetor without having someone first teach you how to do it. You could maybe eventually figure it out after a while, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of treasure. So you've got to decide, how long do you want this process to take? We're using the same strategy, the same methodology that we've been using basically since the beginning. In the last 8 years, we haven't changed one line of code in the indicators or one rule in the strategy. All right, so back to the daily chart. You always want to know where you stand from a daily perspective. Okay, price from here is going to either try and take out this swing high or this swing low. It's got to get through this swing low first, and it's got to get through that swing high first. But the market's always on the move from the minute the market's open on Sunday night until Friday afternoon. We're cruising right along. Now let's go to the Concierge Trade Alerts. This is a different type of alert. This comes out as a static report every night shortly after the Globex opened. So last night they came out at 6:15. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of movement overnight. Things are kind of sideways. If you want to take a screenshot, you can. Let me see if Garrett's in the audience. I don't see him yet. Okay. Oh, and a reminder, Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to talk with Jack Schwager. I know many of you have read the book Market Wizards. There's 3 of them. There's Market Wizards, the New Market Wizards, now the Unknown Market Wizards. These are big traders who have chosen to not work for a hedge fund, but to just sit quietly in their home or in their office and trade their own account. So be sure and join us 1 o'clock on Monday, and we'll talk to Jack for about a half hour. All right, let's go to a 30-minute chart of the S&P. See this slinky sideways motion? Not good for trading. Previous days, Concierge Trade Alert was to be long 3468, which was a very nice trade. It took us up to 3508, some 30, 40 points at $50 a point. Last night the alert was to be long 3512. 35.29. As you can see, we did not reach it. Or be short 34.79, whichever happens first. And 34.79. Now the swing low right here was 34.86 and a quarter. So from 79, you had basically 1 1/4 point in that initial move. Pulls back to the BBC, just what we expect. Price always reverts to the mean. Price always comes home, and then goes on a journey, and then comes back home, goes on a journey, comes back home. You always know what the market is doing with our strategy based upon where price is in relation to the BBC. We got a bearish cross here. Price pulled away. This is just exactly like Michael teaches in the room. Price pulls away, bearish cross, price pulls away. Price pulls back to physically touch the BBC. Down close, you're off to the races. Interesting that down close came right at the trigger. Now, this is the highest weekly trading zone this week for the S&P. This is 2 weeks back to back that we've traded above the highest weekly trading zone. It's a pretty rare event. We've been publishing the zones since December 14th of 2009, so over a decade. And there's probably been 20 incidents of price closing the week either above the highest zone or below the lowest zone. To have it I don't know that we've ever had it 2 weeks back to back. And so with these last 2 weeks, I'm just guessing, probably over the decade or so, been about 20 points, or about 20 times that it's happened. Okay, now important prices and important areas are almost always tested. What does that mean? We trigger, but we don't have any follow through on this move. Pull back to the BBC and make another run at it. This time, come right down to the weekly trading zone. Even though this is the highest weekly trading zone, the fact that we've traded above it, when price comes down to a zone, we expect it to be good support until proven otherwise. And it was. So we dropped from 79 to 59. That's a 20-point move right there. It's 20 S&P points at $50 a point. That's $1,000 per contract traded. Then we get back above the trigger here, pull back to the BBC, and this time our swing low is 65 and a half. So we'll call it 66. So 79 to 66, 13 points. Yeah. And again, the long side, 35.29, that was never triggered. Let's go to the Dow. Again, flat sideways action. It's tough to do anything in a sideways market. But based on the volatility we've had over the last couple of days, there's bound to be some consolidation at some point. And this is it. Now, The alert last night for the Dow was to be long 28,450. 7 points. That's it. $5 a point. The short side was 28010. 28010. And swing low is 27966. There's a calculator. 28010 minus 28010 minus 27,966. 44 points. The Dow pays $5 a point. So there's $220 per contract available there. And here, good for a stop out. Everything was in place. You know, there are times. Number one, don't let anybody fool you. It's impossible to know what's going to happen next. And the good news is you don't have to know what's going to happen next in order to make money in the markets. What our methodology and strategy does is it lets you know what the next high probability move is. When we get this bullish cross here, price pulls away, price pulls back. We know the high probability move is up. Price travels from zone to zone to zone to zone. Again, this week on a number of markets, we're above the highest weekly trading zone for the week. Here's silver. Silver last night, the Concierge Trade Alert was to be long 25.60. And it's like swing high was 25.94. So that's 34 cents. The price of silver went up 34 cents in this move. This is the price of 1 ounce of silver. This is not the spot price. This is the futures price. In fact, let's just look and see. What the spot price is. 25.62. And the December futures contract is, boy, they're almost, yeah, almost identical. Okay. All right. So a $1 move in silver. Silver goes from $25 to $26. One futures contract is worth $5,000. We had that yesterday. Concierge Alert was to be long 24.12. We did run up $1 right there, and we ran well past $1. Went from 24.12 all the way up to 25.53. Almost $1.50. Another way to calculate it is every 2 pennies of movement is worth $100 per contract trade. NQ. Last night's alert on the NQ was to be short 11,957. The swing low was 11,911. So if you take 11,957 minus 11,911, it's 46 points. 46 points times $20 per point. That's what the NQ pays per contract traded. And then we did it again, and then we did it again, and then we did it again. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Garrett's with us. Let me find you here, Garrett. Oh, you're already logged in. Let me open up your mic. Looks like you're muted on your side, Garrett. Garrett, you got to open up your mic.
There we go.
There you go.
Did I do it?
Yeah, you got it. Good job. How are
Good.
you?
All right. Good. How you doing?
Yeah, it's been quite a week. Quite a week.
Yeah, it's quite a from last Friday. Quite a week indeed. Things have really taken off on the upside in most things.
Now, given what happened with the election, etc., were you surprised to see the market put in two such strong back-to-back days?
Yeah, I am, because typically, I think what we're experiencing is uncertainty, and as I think we talked about before, I think there'd even be uncertainty after the election. In some ways, what has happened may have been necessary, and I say that because Glenn Beck did a very good expose on what was planned if there was a Trump victory. And literally they had planned revolution, and some people said, "Oh, well, that's crazy talk." I said, "Have you been here on the planet the last few weeks and the last few months? Have you seen the violence and the tearing down of the statues?" I said, "Do you think that's normal?" I said, "That's a dress rehearsal." I said, "That's obviously funded. It wasn't, and the other thing too. Look at the excuse. The people were upset about George Floyd. And then prior to that, they were upset about Trayvon Martin, and prior to that, Rodney King, and so forth. And I thought, isn't it interesting if you just kind of look at that from a different perspective? I said, here are criminals. All three of those people had criminal records. So they're not good citizens. They're not good people. It doesn't mean they should be mistreated or treated unfairly. But we're talking criminals here. What race on this planet goes absolutely nuts when one of their low-level criminals gets arrested or mistreated? Nobody.
Right.
Chinese don't do it. Mexicans don't do it. Nobody does that. Nobody typically, if you do that, if one of your meaningful people, gets unfairly treated or something. Now, I'm not saying that, some of these things should go on, but the bottom line is, guess what? Don't do the crime. Every one of these guys was in the midst of a criminal act. Don't do the crime and the problem won't happen. That should be the message. But the message is the people who create the messages out there, as we've talked about before, Their whole deal is to divide. As long as they can keep us divided, they remain in power and are able to run off and do all the horrible things that they've done. I mean,
not
look
only
at,
divided us, but they've isolated us.
yeah, I'm not now. Yeah, exactly. Now they've divided us and isolated us. And oh, by the way, just imagine if pretend for the moment that we're the string pullers, the elite guys. And by the way, the robber barons, we all know the robber barons of American history, Rockefeller, Morgan, etc. But now you've still got the robber barons didn't go away. They just look different. Now it's Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and some of these guys. So, gee, they look nice and they sound nice, and they're tech guys, so they're not these horrible, mean industrialists, but they're just as evil, maybe even more so. They've got more tools to be much more effective with the evil that they're doing. These people are censoring and keeping truth unable to reach the public. Trump had an address that he gave, I believe it was it last night? Supposedly he had an address on the election. This is the President of the United States. They didn't show it. Excuse me? You're censoring the President of the United States who's got a message and you're not showing it on...
The major networks, when he started talking about there were shady things with the election, I think they cut him off in midstream.
Oh, it's complete censorship. They either cut him off or didn't show it in the first place.
Right.
And this is and you can say, what other nation can you say horrid things about the president? I don't care whether you like the president or not. To me, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. This is a statement that I'd make about a president that I didn't like. You shouldn't be able to disrespect somebody and disrespect his family. And now you can go into any of these places, whether it's Google or Facebook or any of these things, and you can say horrible things about the president. You can make up lies about him. You can tell him that the FISA documents were absolutely true, that he was doing stuff with Russia, and that he kicks animals on the side and poisons rabbits. You can make up whatever you want. It'll be there. It's going to be right there. But if you come out with documented true facts about Hunter Biden or something that fully implicates Biden, and it's factual and it's there with history behind it, it's gone right now. Right now. So what I'm saying is they were talking about revolution if Trump got in, and I said, you know what? I said the revolution happened. I mean, we as a nation have to wake up. The revolution in this country is done. It's already happened. Somehow, not by the plan of the elite, that's for sure, Donald Trump got into office. And the reason that they were really so attacking him from day one and spending the entire 4 years that he's been in trying to create stuff to get him out of there is he wasn't supposed to win that election. That election was planned to go to Hillary, right, and somehow that got thwarted, and she made it in, and that really screwed up everybody's plans. So that's what's happened. But this country, think about it. Whether you liked him or not, JFK was a president who was for the people. See, and we're supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So JFK was definitely a guy for the people, whether you liked him or not. And at that time, the nation was pretty much 50-50 between Nixon and JFK. But JFK proved to be a good guy in my book because he went after the Federal Reserve and the mafia and whoever else he went after.
And then they went after him.
Well, and then they went after him. So again, my two favorite presidents in the last 50, 60 years, both got shot. So, don't ask me. But, I picked the presidents who, one got shot, like they say, when you're having ham and eggs for breakfast, what's the comment on that? The chickens involved and the pigs committed. You know, so but that's kind of the situation with JFK and Reagan. JFK and Reagan are the two that I liked, and it's interesting to note that the United States was a very popular country when those two people were presidents, and whether it was popular everywhere or not is one thing, but bottom line, the nation was respected everywhere. They may not have liked us, but they sure as heck respected us with both Kennedy and with Reagan. And I think for me, that's an important thing. Anyway, those are my two favorite guys. But sadly, JFK got shot conclusively, and Reagan got shot in his first year, 1981. And you know, Nancy went to him and said, "Hey, Ron, cut it with the people deal. You know, these guys, you know, that's a warning shot."
Going on. What were the odd circumstances around him getting shot? Some guy.
I think it was this guy, you know, supposedly a crazy guy, Hinckley, you know, who was, you know, amongst other things, was madly in love with Jodie Foster, and you know, they create a. Remember, they create a story. I mean, there's a narrative behind all this stuff. But here's my point: he got shot in 1981. He didn't want to have George Bush as his running mate, but he was told, look, if you want to win the South, you need George Bush. George Bush was head of the CIA then. So anyhow, Reagan comes in. Reagan starts being the good guy that he is, doing JFK type of things. And boom, he gets shot. And whether that was intended to finish him off, which it wouldn't surprise me, because you know who would have been president then. But somehow Reagan lived through it, and you can be very sure that Nancy said, "Hey, Ron, forget it. Your plans to do everything that you were going to do, let's just let the boys run things." And you remember, you had deep state guys all the way through that cabinet, Rumsfeld, etc. You know, all these guys. And after that, Reagan it's his first year, and he became a two-term president, but he never really, my point is this: 35 years from 1981 brings you to 2016 when Trump comes in. Mm-hmm. So there's 35 years of unabated globalist dictatorship. Let's not mess with words. You've got basically globalist dictatorship leading the country, and it didn't matter who the president was. Essentially, after 81, George Bush might as well have been president. George Bush was president the 4 years after that. Then you go to Clinton for 8 years, and you go to George Jr. for W for 8 years, and Obama for 8 years. 35 years of stacking the courts. And they're all on the same side. They're Republicans and Democrats, but you know darn well, it's like, forget the Republican and Democrat. Let's talk freedom and control. They're all control, every one of them, and they were all on the same team. So they stacked the courts. They, you know, they put all their people in. Look at the FBI.
In the whole bunch.
And look at, look at what happened with pharmaceuticals over that time. Look, I mean, you know, the health industry completely went pharmaceutical, totally. The other things that I think were, you know, meaningful is they came in and look at, you know, the CIA has always been, you know, questionable, and that's really the arm of the government, if you will, where we create wars all around the world, because, you know, the controllers like wars. You know, their whole deal is, how do we make a whole bunch of money, and how do we control people? And, you know, wars are a pretty good way to do that, particularly when you own the arms companies, and you know, so that's the CIA. Now you've got the FBI that's at least a decent body, you know, with some good people in it, and probably some idealistic people that want to do the right thing. And they had 35 years to do that. Look who became the head of it, Comey, and this guy Wray. Oh gosh, well he's better than Comey. I said, really? I'll tell you one thing. At least Comey did. Comey let Weiner's computer be exposed. Ray hasn't let Biden's computer, so it's, it's just, I think you had a revolution. It was a silent revolution. They were completely in control and were about to go in with that final takedown with Hillary. And now we've got this, and now we've got Biden. But the good side of this at the moment, we've shown that these people, let's suppose that, like I say, we do a pretend game, and we're the string pullers talking, the new robber barons, and whoever the head guy is says, hey, look, and here's what we're going to do. We've planned this virus for a long time in case we need it. It's one of the final control things, as you say, keep people inside. We'll release this thing, and it'll decimate the economy. And some of these other guys have got all their stocks, and they're going, well, hey, we don't want to decimate the economy. My net worth is in the economy. That's my company over there. I own most of the shares of that company. And they're all saying that. The guy goes, hey, wait a minute. We're going to decimate the economy. But your companies will do just fine. As a matter of fact, your companies will probably double while these other people are completely losing their businesses. Their businesses will go away. Some of these people who have had companies for, in some cases, over a century. Some of these old line restaurants and so forth go back a long, long ways in the East Coast and in Chicago and so forth. And others are wonderful family companies, regardless if they're Republican or Democrat owned. These are good people building, good companies, having great livelihoods. They lose their business. What happens? They get, they're under stress. They argue. They get divorces. There's suicides. This is criminal. This is a horrible thing. My view is this thing, I think it'll come out that this thing was not a pandemic. It was a plandemic. It was paid for. They went over and paid for it in 2015. That's clear. And by the way, so anyway, going back to that thing, what's happened? Well, all the robber barons, their stocks have gone through the roof. Some of these other companies have been completely decimated because they can't even run their businesses.
Can't operate day to day.
So here's the kicker. Let's think of it this way. They've made a ton of money. They already had a ton of money. They've made a ton of money. They control the Federal Reserve, so they know when there's going to be interest rate movements, or there's not going to be any interest rate movements because they're kept down on the floor. But when you have other things that move the market up and down, these guys know when that's going to happen. You can check when Jeff Bezos went short in Amazon. You'll find that he does it near the top of the market. He's done it again, by the way, recently.
He just sold a big chunk of his stock.
Yeah, and he'll buy it back at the bottom. But it's not like these guys don't know. They create this. So what are they going to do when they make all this money? Well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? What area in the country got hurt the most? New York. New York City, right?
Yeah. Well. Yeah,
New York City. There's no question.
Well,
talk about as far as dollars, as far as loss of wealth, New York City. New York City was going through the roof as far as real estate values. They've collapsed them. The city's boarded up. Nothing's going on there. And some of these people are thinking, I'm going to just get the heck out of this crazy state. Well, what's going on? Do you think New York City's going away? It's not going away. New York City is going to come back stronger than ever. But guess who's going to own all those prime areas? This will be owned by your robber barons. Why? Because they created this pandemic. They created this collapse. And, oh, gee, that's crazy. I must be some crazy guy. Well, let me take you back to 2008. What happened there? All of a sudden, we had a real estate collapse, didn't we? And houses were for sale all over the place. Nobody was buying anything. You had empty homes. You had all this real estate paper that was worthless. And I guess we better save this nation. Don't let this go by real economics. Don't let just a laissez-faire economic situation. Let the market control things. No, we'll step in and save everybody. So we're gonna get a bail-in get a bunch of money because we don't want to use our money. It's already, we're creating wars and doing other things with that. And we'll go in and we'll buy, and all of a sudden, what happened? Normally, if you had a typical economic situation and you had a real estate collapse, two things would happen. Prices would go down, things would be more affordable for people to buy. They'd probably make them more affordable, and rents would go down, wouldn't they? I mean, real estate prices go down. There's availability out there. Obviously, rents are going to go. What happened? Rents got jacked up through the roof. The only thing that went down was the real estate price. They went in and packaged up all these homes, which were fine. They were just abandoned. They picked them all up for 10 cents on the dollar or less, I'll bet you. Put them in a big package and turned them into an income generator. And all of a sudden, now they've got people in them and they're paying huge rents because they don't have any choice to do anything else. And since they're paying huge rents, now you can capitalize the property. And oh, by the way, the house is good. The economy's going back up. So real estate's going back up. And when you buy it for 10 cents on the dollar and it goes back up to 75% of what it was worth, you just made 6 or 7 times your money. And now their prices are higher than they ever were. So they've done it before. And oh, by the way, they did it before that with the credit cards, didn't they? My dog Wrigley could have got a credit card back in the 80s or whenever that was. Yeah. But that's the game. They're going to these guys are going to buy all the properties in New York City, and then of all the businesses that fell apart, they'll handpick the ones they want. So if you've got a good coffee shop and it's not a Starbucks, but it's a pretty good coffee shop and people used to go there in New York City, we'll just take that and we'll make it a Starbucks. This should be obvious, but any information like this put out by anybody is going to be censored. Not going to be there, and we've got to realize that. So what they were getting back to the election. I'm sorry to digress, but I think it's kind of important. Getting back to the election, the good news is. What's happened? I mean, isn't it interesting how the Democrats didn't gain one House seat? I don't believe. The Republicans gained a few, and the Republicans held the Senate. And you've got a guy who is mentally challenged, let's say. I mean, if this guy isn't Alzheimer's, he's certainly pre-Alzheimer's. He's lots of strange things.
Obama did when in Obama's initial landslide victory, which was the talk of the town. Biden now supposedly, without really campaigning, I mean, he didn't. And I've said that all along. I go, he's too casual. It's almost as if it's a done deal. It's in the bag. He doesn't need to get out there and embarrass himself or embarrass his party. I mean, never have we seen a presidential election run like this, where a candidate, he made maybe 1 or 2 appearances a week for quite a while, and then in the last couple days, he actually, acted as if he was on the stump, as they say, trying to get elected. But
they knew he was going to win. I mean, Nancy Pelosi told you he was going to win, and nothing else would happen. They knew it. If you Google Hammer and scorecard. And probably, I don't even know if these things are up anymore. You have to go to sources like censored.news or Brightian, BRIGHTEON.com, or BitChute, BITCHUTE, in order to get the news, because it'll be removed from other places. But
the Hammer and
problem
scorecard, weapons of mass.
If you go down, I wouldn't go to YouTube because I don't trust YouTube. They're one of the biggest censors of all. But
so this tells
hang on
us,
just 1 second. Can I call you right back? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah.
so this tells about the February
Yeah,
2009, Obama used a supercomputer known as the Hammer. The Hammer includes an exploit application known as Scorecard that is capable of hacking into elections and stealing the vote. According to CIA,
what you want to do, Dwayne, is there's one of them there where Steve Bannon is there, and he's interviewing a general. I think the general's name is McInerney, something like that. And the general does a remarkably good job of explaining. There it is. One of those is pretty good. But see, Thomas McInerney, that's what it is. But when you get a chance, take a look at that. There's but the positive. Here's what I think is positive, and I don't know what's going on. But I think it's positive that Biden won because they had apparently funded a revolution. You know, like I say, I think the revolution's already happened. But they were going to go out and make the violence and the looting that has happened look like a dress rehearsal. And by the way, they don't care about the people. They don't care about the damage. It's doing them, but what people aren't thinking about is that you got to think like the elite. They don't care about you. Once they get in, if you take a look at the Georgia Guidestones and other things, they want to eliminate 90% of the population. So they couldn't care less about the people. They want to get rid of most of us. And half of us are trying to help them out. It's unbelievable. Nobody can think anymore. But anyhow, that being the case, you've got a situation where they don't care. So if they had this revolution, had Trump won, and it may be a plan that he didn't even, but let's imagine if he did. Well, from the date of that announcement, they were going to really turn the streets loose and incentivize these people to go out and do whatever destruction and damage they can do in as many cities as they can possibly do it, and maybe even out into towns, which is fear. And that gets people, again, locked up. And it does a great thing. It takes the value of real estate in a lot of places and brings it down to a lower price for these guys to pick and choose and buy, because that is what they'll do. You mark my words, they'll step in and buy New York when this thing bottoms out, and they'll walk away. You're going to find the Jeff Bezos and the Bill Gates and these other guys owning major, very worth very expensive properties in New York City.
One of the members of our audience, Natalka, she just posted a comment. I got an email last night about how Trump worked with the post office on secret markings on ballots sent in, whereby all the ballots mailed. They have records where they went, who has them, and what happened to them. It was a sting operation set up by Trump, and he hasn't brought it to light yet, as they are letting Biden's corruption come out in the open. And
I saw that a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, they had watermarks apparently on these things that you couldn't see on the ballots. And my thought would be, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, they've done some really serious planning with that. But my thought would be this: I said, what if you just watermark the ballot? But if the ballots were stolen, what difference would it make? You know, how would they know? Look what's happened in where that Omar gal is. Where's she? Michigan? Wherever she is, she had the Muslims working literally day and night getting these ballots. And, because they were just mailed out to people en masse. I mean, there were people in some friend of mine who knew somebody in Los Angeles got a number of them, and if that's happened with one person, it's going to happen with a lot. So I think what my question would be, if you got a watermarked ballot, so it's a real ballot, but somebody steals the ballot and fills it out, what good does it do? But I'm assuming that they've thought through that process and have some other way to do it. It's fairly interesting that the Republicans essentially are the party that's gained stuff. And why would the Republicans gain with certain congressmen, and in those states go to Biden. I mean, you know, whoever the congressman has got more things going on mentally than Biden does. So why would they go in the other direction? But the bottom line is, this is a rigged game. This is a very rigged game, and the positive news that I have, I think, is that with Biden winning, we're going to find out this coming weekend, but I don't think they're going to do that revolution thing and go wild, because it was planned. And with Biden appearing to win, this may buy some time. The positive side of that, I mean, if it were anybody else and we were in a different time, you could say, hey, look, this is positive. You've got a Democrat who won, and let's assume he's a good guy, and the Republicans still control the Senate, I think. I think that's the way it's going to play out. And you've got a very balanced House of Representatives. It's very close. So that's a nice balance. And if you look at history, when those type of things happen, the stock market does well, and things are good. So, you know, what's not to like? Now, if that mentality gets out there, and that's kind of what's happened with the stock market, that's a good thing. And if it keeps things kind of quiet, and then if there is proof and there is stuff on the other side, I think if they just come out and fight this thing and say, oh boy, this was criminal actions and it was corruption and so forth, I don't think they're going to get anywhere. For the simple reason that half of this country, they don't see crime. In other words, you've got a double standard. If Hunter Biden does this and he pays money under the table to his father, well, that's okay, you know, because he's our guy. Somehow that first decision, which should be between right and wrong, is no longer there. It's only left and right, and we've talked about that before. But the interesting thing is, if they use this to, you know, Trump's president for another few months. So during this time, they've got to use it correctly. And I think what they have to do is this. I think they've got to find serious evidence, and evidence of things that are even worse than money. You know, for example, child trafficking, things of that nature. Really come up with very solid evidence, because what has to happen here is that the Democrats are sadly the useful idiots, as history would call them in this time. In other words, what are the useful idiots? The useful idiots, you know, they always take terms and turn them around, but the true useful idiots are the people that are conned, that allow the people in power to remain in power. In other words, allow the evil people in power to remain there. They have to use the media and other things to get the half of the people or more to think and to back them. Otherwise, they don't have any power. And that's what they've done. They've done a very good job of it. So what you have to do is you and I have tried this with our friends, and we've tried to show them facts. We've tried to show them information. We've tried to get them to watch things. They won't do it. They've already made up their mind. And that's what you call successful brainwashing, and it's fed every day by the media. So you're not going to change it. What you have to do is bring up quality research that's backed and shown that, look, here's what's happened, here's what they've done, here's irrefutable proof that they've done it, and what they've done is, in a nice way, they've played you. And the only way this is going to succeed, in my opinion, is not pulling up this corruption and so forth, because half the country doesn't believe it. What you've got to do is take those people and show where they had been played and been used, and make them angry at the people that did that to them. You know how it is when you find out that, you know, your best friend or somebody happened, you know, did something and, you know, did something horrible, you know, behind your back. Only that is the kind of thing that's going to turn somebody's opinion, and that's what's going to happen here. I don't think that corruption, because they don't believe it. So they're going to have to show some horrid things that these people have done with proof, and then you're going to, you're going to change the people. And then we've got to come up with all sorts of proof. I mean, in other words, I don't know why, Barr and these other guys haven't done their jobs. Jeff Sessions didn't do his job, but my guess would be that, somebody dropped by and gave them a pretty serious threat, and they went, well, it's probably not worth that, is it? So, anyhow, but on the market.
You got any charts you want to show?
Yeah. I just, because there's something really bizarre that I wanted to show, and I don't have an answer for it. I don't know what it is, but I thought I'd like to show it to your audience.
Okay. Alrighty. All you got to do is accept it.
Click the show my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've got, can you see it?
Perfect. Yep. Perfect.
Now let me see if I can move the thing over here. There it is. Okay, now I can see it. Okay, this is here's last week, 5 days ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. And gold, the scary thing to me for gold was this trend line here really goes, really goes here. That's where I had it before. This comes from a low down here. Mm-hmm. And when it broke here, I went, uh-oh, because here's this pennant and a breakdown. So when it broke down here, I was very concerned about it and thought it might be able to go down to 1750 or so. But I said, you know what? We're higher than this prior low. And when I look at this prior low, clearly this is a wave 3. I mean, this is wave 3 action here. This is wave 3 action here. And oh, by the way, A, B, C, B, A, B, C, C, wave 2, blah, 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 wave 3, A wave down, A, B, C, D, E, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down for C wave. That's about as perfect as it gets. And I'm not Mr. Elliott Wave. There's a whole bunch of people that have forgotten more about Elliott Wave than I know. But I know Bob Prechter pretty well. No, but that's the way I count it. And I don't think that violates any Elliott Wave rules. And boy, does it set up nicely, because what it tells me is that this is a wave 4. That means I can take, and if that's the case, if this breaks, then something else is going on. But we stayed above this here, and therefore I thought, okay, I'm going to drop my trend line here. Like I say, this comes off a big low back here, and this became the trend line. And if that's the case, what's going on from here? Well, it's, 1, quick wave 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, A, B, C, wave 2. And then what should happen, and this goes back to last Friday, is we should go up. If we don't go up and we break this line, I mean, anywhere underneath that line, it's goodbye, or get short, one or the other. But it didn't do that. And it says, okay, this is, I'd say that this is a wave 2, and this price action says this is a wave 3. Now, I got out of my long positions today because TradeStation was screwing up a little bit. And of course, now with the COVID, you can't call anybody and find anything out. So it's a little horrific. But anyway, that's the gold and looks pretty good. Hang with me just 1 second, okay? Hi, Sam. Yeah, I'm right on the interview. Can I call you back in 5 minutes? Where are you? I will. Okay. I'm sorry for that interruption. Thank you. Now, here's what I'd like to show you. Let's go to VIX. And this, to me, is crazy. Now, to start down here, and let's blow this up. This is the VIX, the volatility index. This is a daily chart, and here's what's happened. It's gone outside of the upper band here, and these are daily signals. So when you see that, when you see it go out here, it does it all the way up. You got to watch this, but it comes out and it comes back and closes inside. You come down from there, you get a buy signal. Where's that? Well, it happened down here. Where are you buying? You're buying down here in the March low. Here it went out and came back in. What's going on there? You're buying that low. Here it came out and came back inside. What happened here? Well, you're buying this low, and it gets lower. Here you don't get a real signal, but again, you're near the top. Look at that. Now you've already dropped. So, but here it comes down very tight. You're breaking out, and these are one of those kind of things where, when this happens, maybe it's the beginning of a decline and you're really going to go down. But all of a sudden, the daily comes back in, and where are you? You're at last Friday's low. And now it's going down, and boom, you got that's a sell signal on the VIX, which is a buy signal on the market. And there it is on the daily. But now the dailies come all the way back down. And what's this? This is the RSI on the VIX. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that I look for to short the market, you want to buy it when it's up here, right? You want to buy it when it's up here because you're down at these lows. Okay. I mean, obviously you look at other things. This is just one signal of many, but in general, that's what you look for. When this gets under 40, it's usually a good place to sell the market. It's usually saying, hey, on a daily basis, this baby's overdone. Mm-hmm. So, okay. So that's the deal. Now let's take the same logic and apply it to a weekly chart. Okay. Here's the weekly. Oh, look at that. You popped out, and that was last week. Again, this is a weekly. So you can only do it on Friday's closes. So in other words, you don't want to jump the gun on Tuesday and say, oh boy, we got a weekly buy signal. You got to wait till Friday because things can change. So here's what happens on Friday. Last Friday, we're up here. So we're set up for one of two things. We're set up for this coming back inside and giving you a buy signal in the market. Mm-hmm. Or you're set up for this thing screaming up here and having the market crash. One or the other. You don't know until the next week. Well, it came inside. And now it's Friday. And what's going on? We're way down in here. We are going to get a VIX buy signal. So now the question is, well, there's a lot of things going on. We've just had an election. Everything's kind of messed up. You can't really count on these VIX buy signals. Are they worth a darn? I don't know. Let's see when the last one was. Well, it was over here. When's that? Oh, that's March. That's March 27th. Oh, well, you're buying the bottom of the market. Well, here's a little one, little dinky one. What's going on there? Boom. You got to buy and you're up for a couple of weeks. Here's one. Or no, this is a false signal. I just put it in there because it was so close. Right. What's it doing? See where that is? Boom. You're buying that low. That's a nice move. This doesn't look like much, but you're probably getting a 100-point move on the S&P there.
Chart, so right.
Yeah. So I mean, these are great signals. If you're buying these, you're making money. Here's another one. Boom. There it is. Here's another one. There it is. Here's one. There it is. This one's incredible. This one's incredible. This one's, you're going up for another week, and you're getting quite a move here. This one's good. 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 They're all good. There's 13 of them there. This is a cheater signal, but it's close, and it's great. It was a great one, right? Mm-hmm. Here you are. So bottom line, how are these VIX weekly signals? Hey, they're great. They're outstanding. And we just got one. Now, maybe this one's going to be like this one. Okay. And what's that one? Well, that comes in and you're in here. Here's the signal. So you're down here. It looks like at the end of the week, it actually closed here. So you're up a little bit the next week, and then this could be like that. So this is saying we might be coming up to a top of the market on a weekly basis, but here's the crazy thing. This VIX weekly is giving you a buy signal, which is usually pretty good. Now, this one and a few others didn't go too far, and logic would say that's probably the case. Where's my thing to get back to the other? I was gonna go back and show you the other ones, but anyway, some of the other things that you've got your McClellan oscillator moving back up. It was up at 125, but this is kind of a level. Your 10-day AD line is actually negative. So and here's all your daily stuff here. You're getting up here on the CCI. My indicator's nowhere. It could go quite a bit higher if that's what was going to happen. This is pointed upward. It would show no reason to sell on the stochastic, and you're up at 60 in the RSI, which is, it's a little bit above middle of the road, but if the market was going to go, it could still go. The point is, you've been up for quite a while here. I like to see the dailies and the hourlies down here or up there. Then you've got a pretty good opportunity of being right. Here's the hourlies. The hourlies have come up, and they're kind of hanging around at a high level. Now, you might have a high level consolidation and shoot up. That's what a weekly VIX buy signal would suggest. But over here, I'm kind of thinking, hopefully with a little luck, the market shoots up Monday and Tuesday into maybe Tuesday morning, and by that time, maybe you're up at the 70 area here in the RSI. Maybe you're up here in the, here you got up in the 90s, 95.
We're not too far off the all-time historic high, which we put in.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be great if we got an all-time historic high and all these things were giving divergent buy signals? I mean, I'm saying, wouldn't it be great for a trade?
Yeah,
that's a pretty good setup for a trade.
When they finally call the election, if the call is for Biden, how do you think the markets will react to that? Do you think they'll continue?
If Biden wins?
If the election is called in Biden's favor, do you think?
I think it's probably going to be called in Biden's favor.
I think so too.
And that would be my guess. And I think that's the plan. And I don't know. We're on the Christian Financial Radio Network here, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a Christian guy, and I look at cycles, and the longer the cycle is, the less you know about it, because frankly, if the cycles are over 80 years or something, nobody was alive back there. And if you go back a few hundred years, you can't count on the written word anyhow. Mm-hmm. You can only hope that you can count on it. What my point is that there's some extremely long-term things, the Mayan calendar, the precession of the equinoxes, some really, really long things that for those of us who are Christian, the implication is that if there's ever going to be a change on this planet, if we ever are going to evolve to a higher consciousness level, we're in that time period right now. One of the things that's supposed to happen in the late stages of that process is that everything's supposed to appear upside down. All of a sudden, everything looks crazy and upside down. Well, you and I have been talking about that for months, if not if not a year or so. This world has turned upside down. And for those of us who haven't been brainwashed, at least we've all been brainwashed, but haven't been brainwashed to the degree of the brainwashing that's taken effect with a lot of our loved ones, we see that things have turned really upside down. And if we've been on the planet for as many decades as you and I have been on, we've got something to compare it to. In other words, if you're 17, things are not too much different than they've been. But if you're 50, 67, something like that, all of a sudden you've been around, you go, I've been around when things were much different than this. Even when they were at their worst, they were far better than this. So the point is, things are upside down. Being a patriot's a bad thing. Being a conservative's a bad thing. Being white with blue eyes, I guess, is a bad thing. I mean, it goes on and on. Everything there to divide us is amazing.
It just goes on and on.
So, but the point is, see, I'm kind of foolish. I think that we're all one race. To me, and
I agree.
we all look a little different. I think of myself as a member of the human race, and if somebody says, "Can you break it down further than that?" then I said, "Well, no, I can't, because I don't know anything about this stuff. But if God came and asked me, could you break it down a little further? Let's go with your thoughts." I'd say, well, I said, I think we're all sparks of God, right? And if you're a spark of God, doesn't one spark look just like the other one? Doesn't it? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a sparkologist, okay? but if we're all sparks of God, which is a term that's been used to some degree throughout the ages, I think we're all exactly the same at that level. And if that's the most finite level, and remember, we've been sent to a planet of duality for whatever in our evolution as spiritual beings. We've been sent to a planet of duality. Hot, cold, rich, poor, left, right, Republican, Democrat, up, down, etc. Okay? So that's where we are. Well, why would that happen? Well, my thought would be, and boy, don't ask me, but since I already asked me, my thought would be, wouldn't it be to experience what we really don't want? In other words, is it up, down in heaven? No, it's unity, right?
Right.
When you're where you're supposed to be, when you're at home, you're with unity. There's no divisiveness. Nobody's any different. We're all sparks of God, and we're in unity. Here, there's no unity. So the thought is, if we're going to evolve, and I think we're doing that, and I think things are upside down, so I'm very positive. I think things are close. If I'm a Las Vegas odds maker on the human race in the United States of America, if that's my job, I've got to give it a pretty big negative. But I think there's something much bigger going on here. That's merely the obvious part, and the obvious doesn't always work.
Yeah.
I think there's something very positive going on here. I think as an analyst, I think there's a lot of things on a cyclical nature, the precession of the equinoxes, the Mayan calendar, all these things coming together at this certain point in time. And the fact that everything's upside down, that we might be very, very fortunate, all of us, to have the great benefit of incarnating at this time. Which of course would elicit the comment, have you lost your mind? and maybe so, but that's the way I'm viewing this. I think this is extremely positive. I think we're real close to having something really positive happen in our evolution. And let's just, let's mark this, because, this can be a very embarrassing statement for me, but I'm willing to live with that embarrassment and admit being wrong. But that's my view. And I think if we all I think there's good reason to hold that view too, by the way. Remember, there's a lot of energy out there trying to divide us. And what we need to do, if we're going to evolve, and if this evolution is on our doorstep, if it's truly there, and I believe that it is, we've got to stop thinking in the old ways. What's going to happen in evolution? Whether it's a dimensional change or however that works, one thing for sure, you're going to leave the old ways behind, and there's going to be new, fresh ways that are better ways that are one evolution up. So that, I think anybody agrees with that. If that's the case, you got to let go of these old ways. And I think what's happening is, to some degree, those of us who are thinking make America great, I don't mean this politically, but it's positive and negative. Which side is giving the positive message? Go with the positive message. I picked up a little trick phrase. That's not a good word. I created a little buzzword for my daughter, and daughters, actually both of them. And I said, think large. Think large. And they go, well, what's that? And I said, well, it's love, appreciation, respect, gratitude, and enlightenment.
I like that.
I said, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Think large. That kind of came through me somehow. And it's a good message for my daughters. And you know what? It's a good message for me. So with that, I thank you for allowing me to share time with you. It's always a pleasure, and your audience as well.
It is always a pleasure,
always great
Derek.
to share time with them.
Thank you
So,
very much. And maybe we'll talk over the weekend.
Yeah, why don't we chat this weekend for sure, and maybe this afternoon or something, if that works for you.
Richard, just put in the chat box.
I'm here.
The dawning and the acknowledgement of aliens should be a big catalyst for changed thoughts. You know,
Yeah.
I assume he's referring to the fact that our government has finally, admitted that there's somebody out there, something out there.
Yeah, I think, that's interesting. I don't like to go there, on public conversations, because it allows the opportunity for a certain percentage of the audience to say, "Oh man, this guy's crazy. I don't want to listen to him anymore." And you don't want to lose your audience. So, but that's the only reason I don't talk about that. There's one other reason. Up until the time that's proven and so forth, there's a lot of questions there. But I think that's going to be something, and maybe that's going to be part of this disclosure. Maybe it's going to require something like that, and wouldn't that be great? But there's a whole bunch of stuff on that I've been made aware of, that I just don't feel right, because I don't know. I mean, the answer is I don't know, and why would I share something that I don't know? Of course, I've been doing that all for the last hour, but because I think if we're going to be honest with ourselves, I literally, if God got me in a room and said, "Hey, tell me what you know," I'd say, "Well, sir, ma'am, whatever." I said, I'm not quite sure that I know anything. I just got a few things that I think might be there. So, because things change. I mean, you remember when all the smart people on the planet knew the world was flat, and now all the smart people know it's spherical, and now, lo and behold, we've got some pretty good research that said it's the flat Earth. So all this stuff happens.
There's a huge group of flat Earth people out there.
Yeah, I mean, and they're, some of the stuff is, they got a pretty good argument, and gee, our mashed potatoes good for you, yeah, and then they're not, and milk's good for you, milk's bad for you, you get to the point where who knows what to believe. So you try to screw on your logical head and do the best you can. But with respect to what the gentleman said, I think first of all, I think it's fairly foolish and a little egotistical to think that we're the only life in the universe. I mean, at that point, anybody who thinks that's, can I prove it? I sure can't. But I think there's plenty of evidence, even on this planet, going back over eons of time, that there have been visitations, and I think that might be one of the things that becomes disclosed when the disclosures happen, and I think they're close. I think that's a good observation. I'll say this: the one thing I heard is that there are hybrids, which is just what the name implies. And
talking about the lizard people.
Well, people say that, and that would be an example of one of them, I guess. Yeah, but again, like I say, I don't like to go there. I'd rather have somebody else be the disclosure than me. But let's just call them hybrids, and those people require certain things, and the thing in order to exist, and when it becomes disclosed as to what those things are, it's going to horrify people. And that might be that element that I was talking about that would be needed to take the brainwashed people and slap them in the face and wake them up. And when they wake up, all of a sudden we unite again, and we're united as a people, and we start seeing evil, and then we can dismantle it and get rid of it and move on and go onward and upward. There you go. Let's end it on that. That's I want to end on a high note because I think we need that. And number one, I think we need it. And number two, I think it's real and honest. And I think it's, pretty soon we're going to be able to experience that. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to that. Garrett, have a great weekend.
Anyway, thank you, my friend.
Take
You
care.
too, and same to all your listeners.
Okay, talk to you soon. Oh, and don't forget to tune in
Okay.
on Monday for Jack, the interview with Jack.
Oh yeah, let's talk Monday and do that.
Jack,
I'd
you're
love
welcome
to hear
join
that.
The conversation if you'd like.
Oh, cool. I'd love to talk to him.
Okay, well, we'll do it.
Hey, thanks so much, Dwayne.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
Take care.
And you and I will talk soon too. Okay.
Okay. I look forward to
Okay.
it.
Bye.
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 Okay, silver guys. We're just talking about the Concierge Trade Alert 2560, which took us up to 2594. And then I drew in this little window of opportunity, 2572 to 2580. That's a 8-cent move, $400. 2-penny move in price equals $100. Hold, please. All right, I'm back, sorry. Okay, so 2 pennies of price movement, or maybe just a penny is $50. 2 pennies, $100. A dollar, $5 grand. So this isn't a huge move, but it could be a move. Now, honestly, there was really no reason you couldn't trigger off of the CTA down here at 2560, which is swing high so far. $25.71. There was a dime. There's a dime there off of the CTA, and if the market makes an attempt, if we get up to 25.72, what's the swing high again? 25.71 and a half. So if we see 72, then I see no reason for us not to make 80. The high of this candle is 87 and a half. And the body's right at 82. But it's a Friday afternoon, and all that goes along with that. Okay? All right. So once again, so far this week, Logic 247. This is our around-the-clock Emini alert service. We sent out 68 individual alerts, 12 never triggered, still waiting on the results of 7. So we had 49 actionable alerts, of which 5 got stopped out. That's 10%. On average week, we see 20% get stopped out. So, nice week. We'll take it. Now let's go to our good word for the day. And off into the weekend. Laughter. We'll talk about laughter today. Proverbs 17:22. A happy heart is good medicine, and a cheerful mind works healing. Author Barbara Johnson said, laughter is like changing a baby's diaper. It doesn't permanently solve the problem, but it makes things more acceptable, at least for a while. One day, comedian David Brenner was signing books. A young man handed him a newly purchased copy to be signed and said, "I want to thank you for saving my life." Without giving it much thought, Brenner replied flippantly, "That's okay." But the young man stood his ground and said, "No, I really mean it." Brenner stopped signing and looked at him. The young man continued, "My father died. He was my best friend. I loved him and couldn't stop crying for weeks, so I decided to take my own life. The night I was going to do it, I happened to have the television on, and you were hosting The Tonight Show. I listened to your opening monologue, and the next thing I knew, I was laughing hysterically. I realized then that if I was able to laugh, I was able to live. So I thank you for saving my life." Humbled and grateful, Brenner shook his hand and said, "No, I thank you." The Bible says a happy heart is good medicine, and a cheerful mind works healing. Experts confirm that laughter boosts your immune system, enhances your memory and learning abilities, relieves tension, slows your pulse rate and blood pressure, releases endorphins that reduce pain, decreases anxiety and stress, puts people at ease, and brings unity. Furthermore, the effects last for 8 to 12 hours. It promotes emotional healing. And best of all, it's fun. That's why laughter is God's prescription for stress. So lighten up. And that's our good word for the day. So as we bring another week to a close, thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.